Hello, welcome to the program. Hi, I am Paul from Global Voice Network. I am so pleased to have a guy on today that I have been trying to get on the program for long time, and I finally did it. I have the guy, the man with the plan, the guy in the know, the actual big cheese of hemp paste. Brad Morehouse is in the house. Brad, how you doing?
Wow, that's quite an introduction. Thank you. I mean, I need to be put on a cracker if I'm the big cheese.
Well,
Thank you.
absolutely. Brad Morehouse is in the house, in the house. And we
Thank you.
also we also have Shela with us today. She's your
Well,
office manager, right? Hi, Shela.
yes, hello.
Well, I am just so excited. You two are just taking the whole CBD thing by storm because nobody does what you guys do, right?
Right.
Amen. Preach it, brother.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Okay, so CBD is all the rage. CBD oil is like the in thing. It's like super cool. It's so cool you can buy it at an auto store. Um, I don't know who would actually take a like a medicinal thing that they bought at Pep Boys. I don't know who would actually consume that, but oh, you can buy it in hardware stores, auto stores. You can buy it in grocery stores for crying out loud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why
And
is
it's
hemp paste different?
Oh, my favorite question. I've been answering that question um, different every single time. I never know what I'm going to say each time, but I'm going to give it a shot. So, what is hemp paste? Hemp paste is the same thing that CBD oil is, but it's not extracted. So, there's no chemicals, no extraction method. It's from the cannabis plant, the hemp side, and it is not extracted. It's everything the flower is except for the stems. Basically, I
Okay.
mean, I could get into a lot of like science behind it, but that's the simple explanation.
Okay, so basically the CBD oil is treated chemically, it's extracted, in many cases it's boiled because the chemicals that to extract the oil from the hemp flower. They use the hemp flower, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
again, if you took CBD oil and hemp paste
Mhm.
and you they both come from the same plant. We in fact, okay, let me give you a 20-second explanation description. CBD oil, you take the flower from the farm, you dry it, and then you grind it up and you run it through either CO2, butane, or ethanol extraction. There's cold press and different ones. And what they do is they use a lot of stress, a lot of either chemicals or power stress to pull the oil out of the flower. And that oil is a really black, thick tar, kind of like it just like looks like molasses. And that is basically CBD oil. Then what they do is they cut it. They cut it with either MCT oil or something that's a great carrier. So CBD oil is a great thing. But what's even better is the way that God or Mother Nature created the plant, the whole plant. And so what we do is instead of doing that extraction and pulling it out of the plant, which you can't pull everything out of the plant, it's scientifically, physically impossible. It is so impossible that I'm going to give you an illustration. First of all, the people that are listening right now, I'm going to use cannabis it's the general term for marijuana and hemp. And everybody pretty much knows this, but just in short, marijuana is high THC. Hemp is no or very little THC, a fraction. So, but I'm going to use marijuana as an example because people can relate to this analogy that I'm going to give you. Let's say you take the famous method RSO, Rick Simpson oil, or any kind of extraction method there is, and you extract the plant and you end up with marijuana oil. Okay. Now you take that leftover plant that's basically goes to the garbage can. That's where it goes because it's been extracted. But I used to tell people this all the time. I said, we're really not into the marijuana version at all, but it's same plant, cannabis. What I want you to do, whoever's listening, whoever makes RSO or any kind of marijuana oil, is to dig that out of the garbage can. Well, hopefully you don't have to go dumpster diving, but you get my idea. Is don't throw it in the garbage can. Lay it out on your countertop, let it dry, and then smoke some of it or eat some of it. Now, you're going to get a huge buzz. So, what does that tell the listener? You just threw away massive quality cannabinoids. It might be THC, but you're still throwing away cannabinoids. And that is the whole key right there. So there's a lot of loss. Excuse my voice, I need to drink some water. There's a lot of loss that goes on with the extraction method. And that is where this, forgive my wording, because I'm a pretty direct person. That's where the billion-dollar blunder comes into play. That's where the stupidity comes into play. That's where we followed big pharma because we wanted to say, hey, look at my stuff, man. We process it this way. We did all these things. So look at this cute little bottle we have, and it's in little drops, and you just take 4 drops. Well, that's not the way they did it 2,000 years ago. What they did is they took the cannabis plant and they just kind of smashed it up, put olive oil, and they put it in a clay jar, and they stuck it out in the sun for 3 weeks. And that's how it decarboxylated. Now, what we did is we were saying to ourselves, what is the difference between 3 weeks and perfectly undamaged ancient Egypt type cannabis? And what's the difference between that and smoking it? Smoking it, you decarboxylate it in 1 millisecond. 3 weeks, 1 millisecond. You get the picture here. So unfortunately, that 1 second is super damaging, whereas the 3 weeks is zero damaging. Pretty much. It just depends on how hot the day was. But so what we did is we said, hey, what is a formula between 3 weeks and 1 millisecond? And so that's what we did is we spent months doing all these lab testing and saying, hey, this is how we're going to can it like grandma's jam. So, and everybody's going, what are you talking about? Canning it. That's what we do. Basically is we can it just like grandma's jam. So we figured out a time frame. Should we cook it for 3 weeks in the jar? What number is the magical number? And of course, that's proprietary information, but we can just say this, that we figured out a really great number, and we only decarboxylate it, which Sheila's going to jump on this one, 63%. And what everybody does out there is they go, dude, man, we got to extract every drop we can. So they run it through these machines, and they run it so hard.
And they call it pure.
Yes, pure, and the isolates or the full spectrum and all that. So yeah, jump on that, Shela, if you will. Thank you.
The decarboxylation.
Yeah,
part?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason why we don't want to decarboxylate it 100%, which is what you do when you smoke it, because you have no control over how hot you're getting the hemp when you're smoking it. But the reason why we only want to decarboxylate at 63% and not 100 is because we want to maintain all of the phytocannabinoids. And there's 2 major ones. Of course, everybody's heard CBD and THC. Those are the major players of hemp in general. But CBD and THC both have, what are they called? Not prerequisite. I can't even say the word.
Precursors.
Thank you.
Yep.
They both have precursors. They're actually the acid form of those 2 phytocannabinoids, and they have major impacts, very effective to help prevent viral infections. They help prevent aging of the brain and all that kind of stuff. So it's really important that you keep those acid forms of the phytocannabinoids, but the way we decarboxylate it, the amount that we do, we also have kind of the best of both worlds, where we'd have the acid version and we have the decarboxylated version where it does transform into regular THC and regular CBD. and they work together to balance each other out and to be more effective throughout your body. I think that's about it on that one. It's important to do both. And even just eating hemp raw, the leaves, putting them in a salad or in a smoothie or whatever, that will give you an immense amount of supplemental nutrients that you're missing in your diet now. But the way we do it, we also want to heat it up a little bit so you get a different version of the nutrients.
So
Yeah.
your extraction process uses a canning method with a carrier oil, as it were, or a carrier compound, and you can it at like within a very narrow specific temperature range. More proprietary information.
Yeah.
So you take it almost to the end, to 63%, and then so you're retaining some of the raw plant, you're activating you're decarboxylating some of the plant, so you're basically getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's
Yep.
what, if memory serves, there's 108 terpenes.
Yes, 108 to 118. There's different scientists are kind of like going, well, we think there's around 118 of them.
Those
Okay,
are
well,
the cannabinoids.
how many terpenes are in CBD oil? 30, 35?
I don't want to answer that question because I'm going to leave people hanging on that one because there's a story behind that. If you don't mind, yes, there's a lot in the plant. That's what I'll say for now.
Okay. All right. So we'll just have to warn the viewer that we're going to have the answer for that question coming up a little later on in the program.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and we'll give you about a minute to take a break if you need to, like halfway through the show. So that's okay. You won't miss anything. Anyways, so the CBD oil is also tremendously expensive, isn't it?
Well, think about it. You're throwing away a lot of the cannabinoids and a lot of terpenes. That's a little clue right there into the trash can. Whereas hemp paste is the bud flower ground up and put into the jar and cooked in the jar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all there. It stays there and it doesn't get scared and run off. It stays there, doesn't get cooked out, And so let me jump back to something that earlier that Shela was talking about. By the way, Shela, could you introduce yourself? This is my number one. Shela is so cool. And she's helped so much. She loves people. She loves people, and she's smart and she works hard. So, tell us.
Tear up over here. No, I'm Shela. I'm the director of distributors among 15 other hats at MyNutra. I help on the customer service side and the marketing side, and I love to research and learn everything there is to know about this plant. The more I know, the more I fall in love with its ability to help and really change people's lives. So that's kind of who I am. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you. Go ahead, Paul.
So you're a jack of all trades and a master of all of them. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We'll say that for now, or I will be the master eventually.
By
the end of my life.
She got stuff done, like she made this cute little sticker.
Oh.
And she does 500 things. That's just one of them. But hey, back to the science. Okay, thank you, Shela. Back to the science. So what's going on is CBD A. A is a carbolic acid. THC A is a carbolic acid. All the cannabinoids have an A, that's called raw, not cooked. When you heat it, the carbolic acid falls off, disappears. So 63% of the hemp paste it has been decarboxylated. And what that means is that we have 3-prong receptors in our brain. This is really cool. So the let's take CBD, that's 3-prong. So what that means, it can seat in your receptor. if it's, I'll give you the factual on this. And again, I use the marijuana as an example. So people go, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. And I don't have to be a scientist to figure it out. When you eat raw marijuana, you don't get high. That's because it hasn't been decarboxylated. And everybody knows that. I
I
mean,
mean,
many people know
some
that.
people call it just activated too. I think that's what Paul was calling it earlier too. So if you
Yeah,
want to get
Psychoactive.
an easier word,
yeah,
THC does
activated.
not become psychoactive until it's heated.
right?
It's
Yes.
inert when it's on the plant.
Exactly. And so to finish this story, there's a lot of science, and our belief is very strong in this because we've for 10 years now, we talk to people all the time, and I will get into that in a minute. But when you have the A, it actually has synergistic entourage effect with the other cannabinoids that have been decarboxylated or activated.
Right.
And so they all work together. So if you completely decarboxylate the whole product, you don't have the A in there anymore. And so but if you leave the A in there, you have an extra set of synergistic results, which is really powerful.
Right.
So, but anyways,
So it's not so much an additive effect, it's kind of a multiplying effect.
yes, excellent word. Yep, I have to write that one down.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not an oil, it's a paste. How much is a dose? What size, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sheila.
Yeah. So we provide in every order a dosing spoon to make it easy for our customers, but each dosing spoon is 20 milligrams of phytocannabinoids. And I mean, the dosing is one of those things that is kind of arbitrary. It all depends on the person and their body and their ailment and their budget. A lot of it is biochemistry, just understanding how your body metabolizes certain proteins and nutrients and amino acids and fats. All of that goes into the play of how much you should be taking of all supplements, but especially with hemp paste, being that it is full of over 500 cannabinoids, no compounds, 500 compounds that all work together, like Brad's talking about, to create that synergistic effect. That means that even at a low dose of 20 milligrams, it'll still be effective. But if you have, you know, a big ailment, I don't want to name any of them because we don't want to get in trouble, but if you have a big ailment that is really severe and really affecting your body negatively, then you might want to up that dose to 200 milligrams or 90 milligrams, depending on how your body is going to react to it. And sometimes the more you take, the more it's going to fight off that ailment. And I mean, there's a bunch that goes into that, but we always just recommend that people start small and increase their amount that they take and keep a track of it too, to see how they're feeling each day, because your nutrition, I should say, is going to affect your dose every day, and the amount of water you're drinking, the other supplements you're taking, all of these things affect your body chemistry. So it's going to affect how the hemp paste also works in your body.
Yep.
Speaking of eating, will it give you the munchies?
Well, some of the cannabinoids have appetite enhancing. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to bear with me today. But sometimes like THC is helps with your appetite, but then other phytocannabinoids are appetite suppressants. So it kind of balances out. We would say that I don't ever get the munchies when I'm on hemp
Okay.
days, and it also helps balance your metabolism too. So there's some there. I mean, it's just a big balancing effect with the hemp. So
Yes.
What it
I like
sounds like is it just balances the whole mind and body.
yeah.
yes.
So it's in
Yeah.
charge of communicating with your whole body. So that's what the endocannabinoid system does in general. Your body has, it has communication from your brain all the way down to your toes, and your endocannabinoid system releases endocannabinoids that it produces on its own to communicate with the rest of your body, with your neurotransmitters, with your receptors all throughout your body to help balance it and create homeostasis in your body. But then sometimes your immune system's compromised and you need more endocannabinoids or more cannabinoids in general. And so that's why we have the phytocannabinoids. That's when those come in from the plants. And that's really what hemp paste is for. It's a supplement. It's a health supplement to help your body reach homeostasis.
Is there any maybe this is a question for Brad, is there any potential for interaction that you have run into, like with either a different supplement or a drug or whatever? Have you ever heard anything?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Russo is the one that's the expert on this, and he's all over the internet. Everybody pretty knows he's the guru of the marijuana, the whole blah blah. Anyways, well, what he said was that there's drug and drug interaction when you take large doses of CBD. What's really powerful about the whole plant is that you can take half, even less than that. Like, for example, the recommended dosage for people who have seizures, grand mal seizures, is astronomical. It's 300 milligrams for the day. Yeah. And if you do the math on that and you look in your wallet, you're like going, ouch. Okay. So that's a lot of money. What's really cool is Mother Nature, God created this plant in its natural state, and it worked. Excuse me, I kind of go off on this a little bit. It's just because I just see so much logic in God or Mother Nature. And I refer to both of them because I don't want to leave anybody out in what they believe. I just want to connect with everybody. But I'm just going to kind of just go with God so I don't have to repeat both at the same time. God, Mother Nature, God. So let's say God is the creator of the plant. Well, let's just assume that God's pretty smart, okay? Just logically. Okay, so the plant is perfect. In fact, neuroscientists say the plant is perfect in its natural state, the whole plant. So when you take hemp paste or the whole plant, same thing. When you take hemp paste, you can cut your dosage in half. So that means it costs half, and there's synergistic results that CBD oil cannot do that you will experience.
No matter how much CBD oil you take.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so what about a positive synergistic effect with other elements? Because two of them come to mind, and studies have shown that cannabis users, when they take a fulvic and humic acid supplement, that decreases their daily use of cannabis. So basically, they're getting double the effect for the same amount. Now, I'm thinking that if somebody had a serious ailment and that they were concerned about whether or not they were taking sufficient hemp paste, that they could, if they're not supplementing humic and fulvic minerals already, they could start that, and then they would get more bang.
That's great.
As it were.
I love it
so well. Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, okay. I was just thinking a question. You probably can't do this because I would think that the reason that it's legal everywhere is because it's basically a whole food and you are canning it. You're just preparing the food. You're not creating a preparation. You're not extracting anything from it chemically or anything like that. Have you considered doing a humic fulvic bump with it, like as the preparation?
Oh, yes. Okay. That is such a loaded question because I'm going to give you this extreme and this extreme. Okay. I can't put my hands way out this way. But anyways, okay. There are people that I personally know that came out with CBD peanut butter. Jiffy, each a peanut butter. I mean, Jiffy, that's pretty low quality. And, but they've done the water, they've done all kinds of things. And basically the only reason why you would do something like this is because it's a carrier or has synergistic reactions. There are people that have told me, hey, Brad, when I drink your coffee or your chocolate, excuse me, it works better. And I'm like, I don't have any science to back it up. I don't know, but they say it does. Some people don't, some people do. So, but Paul, I'm really on the train with fulvic acid, super on that train. In fact, I called up this manufacturer one time and I said, yeah, I'd like to spend $4,000 and put that on our website. And they said, yeah, we got fulvic acid. You know what? They sent me folic acid. And it had citric acid in it. It was in a really low quality. And they said, yeah, so it was a big horrible thing. They wouldn't return it and all that. And I really wanted to really push fulvic acid because everybody calls us and they say, you know, my friend took hemp paste and it saved their life. And they say all these big claim things. And we're like, that's what keeps us pumped up and we're all excited about it. But you know what I tell everybody? I say it a little bit more polite than this, but since I'm saying it in general, I said, you would be stupid to rely on our product because you need to fix the original problem, why you got cancer in the first place.
Hmm.
Yeah, one product is not going to fix or cure anything. It's a multitude of things that you do in your life to make things better.
Exactly. And so fulvic acid creates the pH of 7.1, I won't get into that because it's not a fulvic acid time right now, but I'm sure you've got videos on that. And do you have one you want to plug on that, if you don't mind?
Not off the top of my head, no.
But it's amazing. It's like amazing.
Yeah,
and that's
definitely go do your research on fulvic acid. That's one of those that it's getting more popular. And so we're going to start seeing a lot more people talk about it because it's fairly new-ish. It's being rediscovered. And the positives are huge. I mean, it helps with a whole host of things. And it will, like you said, it will help the effectiveness of hemp paste too, to make your costs go down there as well.
Yes.
Well, I do carry 2 fulvic acid products, but the links for those and information for those will be in the description of this video. We don't need to talk about them during the video. This is a hemp paste video. Yeah. Okay. So
the live video. Yes.
Right. So all right. We've been doing this for about 28 minutes and 30 seconds so far. I think we're going to take about a minute and we're going to hear a word from Happy. Let's do that, shall we?
Sure.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Hello, my name is Happy Hemp Paste, but you can call me Happy. I am from a large family, and we are growing like weeds. I have a story to tell you. Did you know that science has discovered that CBD oil is damaged? Many of the important healing compounds evaporate during extraction. Did you know that hemp paste uses no machines and no chemicals, so there is no damage done, and I leave no environmental footprint? Oh yes, I am so much better than CBD oil because my paste has no waste, because I am whole plant-based. Only 2 ingredients in every jar: my flour and coconut oil. The most natural form of me ever. Here, try some.
You just gotta love that little guy. You just gotta.
Yes. That's why we have him everywhere.
Yes. We've got bottles and mugs and shirts and but anyways, you know what's funny for the listener right now? Paul had to cut that down, and I ate a bunch of hemp paste one day, and I came up with the idea of Happy, and I actually made a joke. And I can't give you the punchline because I can't. You've got to watch the full version of the video. So just go to happyhemppaste.com, and it doesn't go to anybody's website. It just goes to YouTube, happyhemppaste.com, and watch the full version. I promise you're gonna laugh, or you're gonna think I'm really took too much hemp paste. Either one.
We both know the punchline, Paul.
Yes.
Yeah. We both. Yes, I think I do believe that I know the punchline, and he's right there. Meet Happy.
Yeah, if you go to hemppasteproducts.com, you can see that video as well.
Yeah. So, or go to ediblehealingpaste.com. Either way, it's whatever works. So he is a cutie. I'm telling you, he is a cutie.
Yeah.
Whose brainchild was that?
That was the hemp paste in my brain. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm telling you, people might say, "Did your mom drop you on your head a few times?" But I come up with really crazy ideas, and of course, they're not always good. We all do things like this, But hemp paste, that's what I like about it. It's a neurological regulator. It stimulates your CB1 receptors, and you become creative. And so Happy is the world's only and first 3D animated character. And we've got a copyright trademark on it and on him. And so we would love to do like a TV show with Happy. We're getting there. This COVID kind of, got us a little bit, but oops, I didn't say that. I can't
That's
say.
okay. That's okay. We can get away with that.
Okay. Yeah, I got to be careful on the words because the listener out there, they kind of don't go well on YouTube.
Well, it's a
But
fact
anyway,
of life. The C word is a fact of life. It happened.
yes.
Right.
You can
Yes.
talk about it. You just can't say anything about it.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Sounds good.
Go figure. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that was it. It's just we're excited about Happy. Again, we're gonna really use him as our mascot, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with him.
So hemp paste tunes up your brain, tunes up your body. It just kind of gets things clicking and ticking just like God intended.
Right.
Well, this brings me to an interesting point. The whole food diet. What I believe was meant by the whole food diet is eating the whole food.
Mm-hmm.
Not just eating foods that are whole because they came out of your garden or whatever, and you just sliced them, diced them, cooked them, and fried them and squashed them and whatever. Whole food is the whole food.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is what you do, because hemp really is a superfood, right?
Yeah.
Super.
Hemp seeds are what, 53% protein, and it's a high quality vegetable protein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
then
makeup.
and then you grow it and just pluck the leaves off, and it's a whole other host of major nutrient. It's very nutrient rich. There's omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids, and there's vitamin C and vitamin A, and plus all of the phytocannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, all of those as well. So you're getting a whole host of things in one small plant.
I
Yes.
wonder if there was a processing plant that created CBD oil. If you could just like show up and see if you could get like a bag full of their
Their
throwaways,
waste.
their waste.
I've
Right.
done it. Our
You have?
company, we are one of the very first that ever brought out the CBD in Colorado, in Peyton, Colorado Springs. And so in the very beginning days, I was working with the Stanley brothers and Kelly Roller and different people. We were all growing different strains. We started out in the marijuana high THC version because that's all we had. And it was really, really, really helping people, including my father. And so what we did is we were moving our genetics into the CBD. And to answer your to jump on that, we did all kinds of lab tests. We did the best lab test there was. We said, take that out of the garbage can and smoke it and tell me what happens. And they said, I'm sold. You are completely right. There's no way scientifically or naturally to pull out everything. It's like this is crazy. Check this out. You're wanting to take this plant and then move it right over to the right side, or move it into an oil. Why don't you just take the plant? I mean, it's like $1 billion blunder, and I don't want to like pick on anybody, but the whole world made a big $1 billion blunder. Why did we do so much damage? Oh yeah, here we go. Paul, can I jump on that terpene question?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay. Okay. So about 6 years ago, what I did was is I emailed all these laboratories, all the big famous labs that do all your lab testing. In fact, you're looking at one right now. That's what sparked me to say it. So what I did is I emailed them and I said, actually, I emailed them under a fake name and everything because I didn't want them to come back and say, hey, I wanted them to be very loose with their answer because it's a very touchy answer. I said, what is the amount of terpenes that survive extraction, CO2, butane, ethanol, alcohol, etc.? And some of them said, we can't answer that question because it's kind of like damaging, because we have a lot of clients and we don't want to say that, the majority, if not all of them, are evaporated.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that laboratory? I forgot. I apologize. But anyways, they responded and we used their name all over the place. We said, look what they said. They said the majority, if not all, the terpenes are destroyed in extraction. Now, watch this. If people who are listening right now, if you go to trueterpenes.com, they sell terpenes. And what they do is we have this PDF. If you could attach that PDF to your links, but this PDF shows a $17,000 32-ounce bottle of terpenes. Now, okay, whoa, are you ready? Now, so let's use some logic here. $17,000. What does that say? That tells you that terpenes are very, very important. They have to be. $17,000 for a 32-ounce bottle. Why are they so important? Because they are a key compound of the plant, the way it works together, synergistic entourage effect. It is the neuroscientists, if you go and Google and start watching some of these neuroscientists at these conventions, they're going all over the terpenes. And they were basically, the industry was saying, isolates, that's one compound, is not a good thing because it's one compound. It can't have a reaction or a reactant because it's just one thing. It can't react to anything else. And so the way God created this is that it is all the compounds work together. And if you go back to the terpenes, why would they be putting terpenes back into the product? Why would people be
Why would
paying
you strip it out to just put it back in? Yeah.
Why would they spend all that money to put it back into their product? Think about that. It's because the chemical process, which I said is $1 billion blunder, it's $1 billion blunder because you throw away product, you destroy all the terpenes, you do not have the full entourage effect, and here comes another kicker. I hope I'm doing okay. It's very complicated, a lot of stuff.
You're doing just fine.
Okay, cool. I just don't want to get too carried away here because I'm super passionate about this, because in the beginning days, I used to be called the paste is a waste. I used to be attacked because people just didn't understand that, simplicity, natural was the best way to go. It just made sense everywhere. And here's another place where it makes sense. This is a fact. Imagine everybody, just kind of maybe close your eyes and look at a beautiful 70 acres of hemp growing, okay? And you see these 70 acres and you say, okay, harvest time. That all has to go into a barn. 70 acres. Okay, think of the crazy about that. Well, what happens is when they put it in the barn, they have to use dehumidifiers, big fans, and that's blowing all the terpenes and all the crystals, the trichomes. They're all just flying everywhere. Their mold is crazy. So if you're not in Colorado and you're in like Florida, the humidity, it's a nightmare. So they're spending all this energy, all this stuff to try to keep the mold, which is impossible. Things mold. And CBD oil, I have to be careful because I don't want to say, Brad Morehouse said that all CBD oil has mold in it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it's a nightmare, okay, with this process. Now, so there are these scientists that spent a fortune, and they're still working on it today, and no progress. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out, how can I extract the terpenes the cannabinoids and all what we need out of the plant while it's raw, not dried. They can't do it. And even if they could do it, it would be such a costly process. It's just dumb. So where am I going with this?
I think you're going to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no!
I knew where you were going. I got it. Sorry.
What's really crazy about this is that you can take the plant and take it and just shuck off all the fresh right off the, except for the big stems, and you can put it into our machine, and you can put a little bit of MCT oil, not a lot, and a little bit of vegetable glycerin, but kosher, and put that in there, and you get the kosher is vegetable is because the cannabis is really bitter. Whoever tries hemp paste, whoever's tried hemp paste, there's a lot of people out there that go, wow, this stuff is really bitter. It's so CBD oil, but that's the way God made the plant, and so suck it up. Don't be a wussy, man.
It's a medicine or it's a supplement. It's not supposed to taste good.
Exactly. And just chase it or put it in a capsule or put mint in it like we did, put the mint in it,
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, back to the process. So we blend it all up, we hop it into the jar, and we can it like grandma's jam. There is no mold. Hello, no mold, because it can't mold. Okay, there's all the terpenes are enormous levels of terpenes, because once you dry this stuff, your terpenes are like massively destroyed. And then you run it through the extraction process, you can just say goodbye to all your terpenes.
Right.
I hear music. Sorry.
There's a train going on in my background.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Years. Kansas. That's for you. Anyways, and so if you think about it, why don't we just take this plant, put it in the jar, cook it really delicately, and then eat it? And that's why there's no other company in the world. We have all the intellectual property. We have trademarks, all massive amounts of copyright. Okay. Right. And so what we did is we protected this. And that's why Paul is ediblehealingpaste.com. And that's why anybody wants to be part of this. We were beat up so bad in the beginning. I don't want to sound weird about this, but we were beat up so bad in the beginning. People attacked us so much. And now we're being vindicated. And now we got all the trademark because we knew God and Mother Nature and this plant in its natural state was winning ticket. We knew it was the best one. And it's so much cheaper to make. There's no environmental footprint, Paul. Because there's no machines. There's no chemicals. There's no cost. There's no guys in white lab coats going, I got to run these machines. And there's very complicated machines.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Brad. To answer the earlier question about why it's so much or what the cost is as opposed to CBD oil, we kind of went over that question really quickly earlier. But everything that Brad's talking about right now is the reason why CBD oil is so expensive per dose or milligram or whatever it is. So
yes,
ours, since we don't do any of that, you save on the cost and we pass that on to you. We're not out to make billions. We're just out to help people. So whatever we can do to make it feasible per dose for you guys, we're not recently we've dropped the price of 2 of our products. Well, technically 5 of our products, just because we realized we could get some ingredients for cheaper in our hemp cream. We use a lot of really awesome essential oils. So instead of keeping the price where it was and reaping the rewards of that extra profit, we dropped the price down for the consumer. And we will continue to do that because that's the right thing to do. We're not here to make the billions. We're here to help the billions. So
right. Well, what I'm getting is that every single process that hemp or cannabis goes through as part of the extraction process, as far as the oil extraction process, every single stage that it goes through damages more of the plant.
Yes.
So whack it off and it starts to dry before you get it to the barn. Then you dry it. Then it's a little more gets a little more destroyed, and then then you bathe it in like a solvent or like Everclear or moonshine or
That's
whatever it is.
Yep.
And then you heat extract it. You got to boil off all that alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You got to wonder what else is boiling off.
Your house goes kaboom. That's what we saw in the news. People start getting a little bit smarter and they went to the CO2, but it's butane they're still doing.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's carcinogens.
Well, hey, if they wanted to be, no, I'm not going to give many secrets, and it'll make them think that they could descend upon my kitchen and find me doing this. But I would think that it would be infinitely less explosive if they would just actually, go the extra step and distill down it back into an alcohol, because it won't be explosive at that point instead of a vapor.
Yeah.
But I'm not. No, this program is not intended to treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure any disease, and should not be accepted as medical or distilling advice. check with your local health professionals, or watch at least a season of Moonshiners before you attempt anything mentioned here in this program.
I just thought of some kind of dorky. Actually, you do cure. It's your show cures people because we pass knowledge, and that is the key that everybody needs to do out there. It's just sharing the knowledge. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what you're
Okay.
about. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Geez, I didn't get anything for you. Honestly. Okay. One other thing that I did want to talk about was, and I don't remember. Is there anything that you can think of that we haven't covered?
I do want to talk a little bit about customer experience and testimonials really quick, if that's okay.
Yeah. Brad, just 1 second. Brad, can I get you to turn your speakers down a little bit or something?
Yeah,
I've got a weird echo back whenever Shela talks.
It's happening on my end when you talk too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Bizarre.
I think it's
How's that? Is it better? Is it better?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's better. Yeah.
I got those big speakers like you do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're right there. And I got 2 more of them in the kitchen.
Oh my. I don't.
Well, I gotta have something to hold up my water filter. I got a Berkey like this tall. It's 3 buckets. Okay.
Well, so just really quick, I wanted to touch on, we've talked a lot about the science and the extraction process and all the damage that's happened. I know a lot of people know the benefits of taking CBD oil, and we've talked a little bit about what's in hemp to make it so beneficial. But where the power really lies is how it affects you, and connect all of that science and put it into action. So part of the biggest joys of my job is to be able to listen to people's stories about how the product has actually helped them get free whatever's weighing them down, basically that homeostasis that the endocannabinoid system brings. And we have a lot of reviews online on trustpilot.com. You can just type in hemp paste and you'll find them all. And people are really vulnerable on there and leave their full stories of where they were when they found the product, and then they've tried the product, and they've where they are now. And there's everything from, it helps me get restful sleep, which we all know is super important to recovery. And that's a very simple one. I think it's great that it helps you sleep, but there's also some really awesome ones from treating anxiety, depression, PTSD, and then also pain. Pain is the biggest one. Chronic pain, inflammation in your body. Inflammation causes a lot of chronic pain. And so what hemp paste does is it communicates with your endocannabinoid system to target those areas that are inflamed and causing pain. And that's kind of what Brad was talking about, where it goes to the root of the source too of, I won't get into all of that either, but there's a ton of really awesome stories, and I get to hear really awesome ones every day. But there's some like there's a gunshot wound victim and he couldn't feel his whole right side of his arm, and he took hemp paste and went from a 2-year recovery to a 6-month recovery. And I mean, it didn't cure it instantly or help it instantly, but over time with consistency. We have other people who had misdiagnosed and undiagnosed problems where nobody could figure out what was wrong with him. He was just constantly coughing and he had really bad respiratory. I don't know if it was an infection. Brad, do you remember?
Oh, yes. I forgot his name too.
But do you know what was wrong with
helped him? What?
Do you remember what the reason was that he was coughing up a lung every time?
He just we'll have to get back to you,
Okay.
Paul, on that one. I can't remember what the actual diagnosis was because the doctors had a lot of trouble with him. They couldn't help him.
Right. They couldn't help him. And he got to the point where he's, I think he's in his mid to late 60s and has grandkids, has a whole family, and his quality of life deteriorated so much. He would call me on the phone to order hemp paste, and he couldn't get 2 words in before he was coughing up a lung. And, it almost sounded like his coughing was going to make him throw up because it was so bad. He was gasping for air. We could barely get through the conversation just to order him some more. But he stayed with it. He stayed consistent. He was working with a naturopathic doctor who was also supplementing with like the fulvic acid and some other things to help him detox from whatever. And so it wasn't just hemp paste that he was taking, but he was taking large doses of hemp paste, like 10 scoops a day, large doses of hemp paste.
It was crazy.
He goes through a lot. And he did not see progress right away. He saw progress little by little over time as it accumulated in his system, and he just stuck with it. And I think it's been about 6 months now since I've talked to him. Since the first time I had talked to him, it's been about 6 months. And I got to speak with him. It's been about a month ago now. But he was able to carry on a full conversation with me without coughing once. He was like in tears telling me, this product has changed my life. I'm just so thankful for you guys because without it, I don't know where I would be. I was depressed. I was suicidal. I was all of these things because my quality of life just went down so bad and so quickly that he didn't see an end in sight. And with the help of the naturopathic doctor who we work with also and our product, it was like it just switched. His attitude, his demeanor, everything just flipped a switch, and his quality of life shot back up. And now he's able to play with his grandkids and have deep conversations with the people that he loves. And those are the types of stories that help us continue on because it really is life-changing like that. I know it's just a health supplement, but it makes you go from sometimes miserable or you don't see a way out to hopeful and enjoying life again. And I mean, that's a little bit of an extreme example, but it's one of my favorite ones because it's so amazing to be able to talk to him before and barely be able to have a conversation with him, to be able to listen to how much he's loving life now. It's amazing.
Well, I've got an even more extreme example for you.
Oh, let's hear it.
Oh yeah. And a friend of mine for years in the Patriot and Truth community. She was, I believe, falsely diagnosed with cancer. She went through 9 invasive procedures trying to find the cancer, and they failed to find the cancer. Well, her oncologist said, well, we can't find the cancer, but from your blood work, we know you have it. So our estimate is that you have about 2 weeks.
Oh,
wow. That's really positive.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to get you started on therapy right away.
right.
All right. Well, she went in to see the doctor because she had stomach cramps. She had debilitating stomach pain and acid reflux.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they put her on pain meds. And what they did was they gave her pain meds, but they didn't give her sufficient pain meds to deal with the pain that she was dealing with while they continued to look at what was wrong with her. They just said, well, if we can get you started on the therapy, we can increase your pain meds.
Therapy meaning radiation or chemo.
Yeah. Okay. So she went 3, 4 treatments. Lower part of her body started shutting down. Cramping was still there. She was on 18 different doses of opioids, 18 different doses of 3 different opioids per day. 18 was the total. She was dosing every 4 hours. She was waking up and doubled over before 4 hours. So she would sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then she just kind of sit there, uh, tapping the nightstand, waiting for the clock to go 4 hours so she could do again. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I talked her into trying hemp paste.
Okay.
And we were gonna hit it. We did the hemp paste 2000 milligram and the can of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so she did the 2000 milligram in the morning and the can of sleep at night before she went to bed. One dose of each, separated by 12 hours. To make a long story short, on the second night, she slept through the night.
Wow. Wow.
On the third night, she cut her opioid meds in half.
Ooh.
On the fourth night, she eliminated them altogether.
Wow.
4 days, 2 doses of 2 different types of hemp paste.
Right.
4 days, no side effects, no withdrawal symptoms, no
Wow.
pain, sleeping through the night.
Wow. And that's a small dose. Like 20 milligrams for that level of pain is
20
very
milligrams.
small. And
20.
I mean, 40 milligrams total, but
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah.
It's
That's what you call a cheap date.
well, yeah,
But
well,
effective.
sadly, we still lost her because she was chewing CBD gummies for like months beforehand. She was already 3 or 4 treatments in from her oncologist. The lower part of her body was still shut down. She did pass about a 14-inch tapeworm, so I'm thinking that a parasitic load was probably what she had going on to begin
Okay.
with, but her doctors were idiots.
Yeah.
So it was just heartbreaking what happened to her. The only solace that I can get is that hemp paste gave her 3 weeks of her life back,
Yeah.
and she went in peace.
Right. Without the pain. That's huge too.
That is
Yeah.
my turn.
You got a
Your
story,
turn. Go
Brad?
for it.
No, because I wanted to kind of like give like a paradigm to people that are listening right now. So in our experience, especially mine, because I've been doing this the longest, I've noticed about 80% of the people will say, this stuff is amazing. Okay. And then the 20% is, I don't know if it's really doing anything. There's all different kinds of categories in the 20%. And there's all different kinds of categories in the 80%. But in general, I'm not going to get into all the breakdown, but in general, about 80% of the people out there say this stuff is amazing. And about 80% of them say this stuff tastes terrible. It's kind of funny. It's just, hey, that's the way it goes. Some people told me they would eat dog poop if it saved their life. Some people say it tastes like dirt. Some people love the flavor.
I like it.
See, you like it. There's maybe there's more than 20% love the flavor, but I haven't really done a lot of research on that. I'm just more interested in, is it helping them?
Right.
Anyways, so I'm going to give you something that I think is very tangible. This is tangible. If you look at it, it's a billion dollar. I think it's a $12 billion industry right now. This is a kind of an ironic question. Are there that many stupid people out there that would generate a $12 billion industry? That many people out there that they must be doing something good. Otherwise, why is it such a big thing? And just think that's CBD oil. Okay, gummies, whatever it might be. And the THC factor is partially in that. It depends if it's the medical version I'm talking about. But here, so number one, to say that there's published articles, PubMed, different people, not people, organizations have basically said this. It's the number one anti-inflammatory product on planet Earth. That's my summary. If it's anti-inflammatory, inflammatory, guess what? I'm a pretty good health nut, but last night I ate fettuccine at a restaurant and the cheese. So people out there, stay away from dairy and wheat and all that stuff. If you're having trouble, that's a big one right there. So anyways, but it's anti-inflammatory, anti-proliferative, anti-inflammatory is so big because if you cut your hand, ow, the nerves hurt. But in 6 hours from now, the inflammation starts setting in. Your gut flora, everything, even seizures are affected by inflammation. Or everything out there. They call CBD oil. I make a joke out of it. They call CBD oil snake oil, because everybody makes all these claims. It helps this, helps that, helps this out. You know why? Because it's anti-inflammatory. Everything that has to do with inflammation, you get the rest of the picture.
Right.
Any statements, and I'll give you my testimony.
You said a word, and I don't know that everybody knows that word. So can you do
anti-proliferative?
Yep.
So that stops bad cell growth. And that's why the THC cannabinoid, and I always say it my way because that's the way I grew up. There's different ways to say cannabinoid, but I was one of the first guys that messed it up. So I'm going to stick to my mess up. Anyways, but THC is anti-proliferative. CBD is anti-inflammatory. So if you decrease the inflammation, your body's like a teeter-totter. So if you have all this good army that's like fulvic acid, water, chlorophyll, all these good things, the teeter-totter, it's like if you do a bunch of bad stuff, you start going this way. If you go a bunch of good stuff, you go this way. So it all adds up. Everything adds up. But remember, if it's reducing the inflammation, that is where it is so powerful. Right. Hopefully I answered that question.
Yeah,
very well. You also have hemp paste products for cats and dogs, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Canna doggy. What's the happy packet?
I got one over here. Okay. So
it's on screen too, yeah.
Yeah, the happy packet right there.
Yeah. So what we did was we said, thank you. We said, how can we get this into people's hands as cheap as possible so they can test drive it? And the negative on this is only going to cover maybe 3 days.
At most, I would say 2 for normal people.
Yeah, it depends on how much your body weight, your situation, etc. So there's marker points. I call them the X factor. I don't know if you have that anywhere, Shela.
It'll be linked up on that document that we send you later, Paul.
Cool. Okay. So the X factor is 1.5 hours. You take it 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. 1.5 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. And those are kind of like marker points to where you can kind of tell whether it's working or not. And a person that takes the happy packet, basically, they can hopefully tell within that 1.5 hours, 2 days kind of thing. And so, but it's $4. And we'll even ship it to you for free. We actually stick it in a legal size envelope, put a stamp on it, and snail mail it to you. But if you're really impatient, like most people are, including myself, we'll FedEx it to you, 2-day FedEx, and you'll get it really fast. So,
okay. So you had mentioned that 80% of people will say that, wow, this stuff is great. And 80% of people say, wow, this stuff tastes horrible. And
20.
20% of the people don't really see it do anything. What
Exactly.
percentage what percentage of the 20% figure out that it was actually doing something once they stop?
100%.
Yeah, well, exactly, because when they go off it, they're like going, I got. How much time do we have? I'll do this really fast because
Go for it.
I got really heavy involved with the Lyme disease community. Herxheimer, Herx. Those are the neurotoxins that when you kill the Lyme, you get a Herxheimer. It's really like bad flu symptoms. And so we had a person that had Lyme disease, and I said, hey, you might have Lyme disease because they took the hemp paste and they felt like crap. We're talking bad. And that was because it was killing off the Lyme. And they're having Herxheimer. And then they stopped taking the hemp paste, and they said, I feel better. I got off this garbage here. I feel better. And I'm talking to them on the phone, and I said, okay. I'm like, I'm not your doctor. I can't really prescribe or anything. I can't tell you anything really, but I can tell you this. I'll give it to you for free. I want to experiment. Let's not write this off yet. And so she went off the hemp paste for, I think, a week, and she started feeling really bad again. And then she had a jar of it. I said, okay, let's do an experiment, So she started taking it again. And I said, let's take a smaller dosage, but you got to drink a lot of water, because when you have a Herxheimer, you're going to have a lot of neurotoxin. You got to flush yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went on this program that I told her, get a pen and paper, and we're going to write this down, and we're going to do this. And at first she was like hating me, and later on she was loving me. She was like, it was like a hate-love relationship. It was like, okay, hang in there, and I have a kind of a saying to people that have Lyme disease. If you take this and you take a big dosage and you feel like crap, then you want to say, is that all you got? Bring it on. It's like, you eat as much, fill, it's doing something because you have a Herx.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
Herx, yeah. So that's basically a kind of a mixture of different angles and stories. I mean, I have so many different stories on it, but we don't have time for that.
Also, to answer the 20% question too, regardless of if you're feeling a difference, it's still working to bring homeostasis to your body. I'll keep going back to that because it's working on your immune system, your hormones, all of these receptors in your body are regulating to make it perform at its best. And so even if you're not feeling like on a regular day, I don't feel chronic pain. I don't feel like I need to supplement with something to make pain go away. And that's one of the biggest reasons why people come to us is pain, or I'm experiencing loss of sleep, or whatever. They have an ailment, and I just feel like I'm pretty okay most days, So I don't usually take it. I take it a lot when I'm sick or before, or like as I'm starting to feel sick. I'll up my dosage, but I still take it every single day, just at a smaller dose, because I know what it's doing in the background. And that's what people don't realize, that 20% that doesn't feel like it's doing anything for them, it still 100% is, because it's bridging the gap between the amount of cannabinoids in general that our bodies were meant to have and what they're currently getting, because the world has changed and criminalized it so much.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that makes me crazy is Genesis 1:29 says, behold, I give you
Seeds.
all the plants with seed,
Mm-hmm.
On the whole of the earth.
Right.
And I give you all the trees with fruit bearing seed. These things I give to you for food.
Right.
Here's a natural plant. It's a weed, not the first weed to be demonized, of course. Dandelions,
That's
really
true.
healthy stuff.
Yep.
But Ortho and Roundup, they're right on it. And it's been demonized because it is healthy.
Right.
It is a whole food. It's nutritious.
And people aren't making money off of you planting it in your backyard.
Right. Because it's natural, they cannot patent it. If they cannot patent it, they cannot own it. If they cannot own it, they cannot control it. Nope. Yes, they can control it because everybody believes that they can.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
Hey,
this-
go ahead, Sheila. Oh, Sheila, the Ebola article I wrote in 2014.
Yeah. So if we go back to some of the things we don't realize hemp is useful for, back in 2014, Brad was actually the first to realize that hemp was helping with the cytokine storm. And he wrote this article. It was published everywhere. You can still find it. Just Google.
Ebola. Shoot, I forgot.
I
what
have it
was.
actually right here.
Okay.
But yeah, so Brad wrote this article and it was published nationwide because of how radical it was at the time in 2014. Before the current viruses are happening, Ebola was something that was huge on people's radar, and they were really scared of it. And testing had been done with cannabis and your system and what happens when you are infected with something like that, and the whole cytokine storm. And I know, Paul, you've probably talked about it on your show before.
Lots.
Yeah. I thought I had it handy, but I don't. But yeah, just Google cannabis and Ebola and it'll pop right up.
Yes, 2014 article. Well, what's amazing is now they're using it for the other all the viruses, and they're saying that these viruses, how they attack you is your cytokine storm is what floods your immune system, and that's where
Right.
and so I am thankful that I was enlightened with this knowledge. I don't know how it came to me, but it just did. And I wrote an article and a story, and everybody was like, And I got in the last 6-8 months, there's probably 200 or 300 organizations out there saying exactly what I did in 2014.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool. So our company, our organization, we're the first to break this. If there was a story we did, Sheila and I, with an interview, we talked about how the police were at our house. We had an $85 million contract. We had this lawsuit. We had all these. We had people flying on private jets to come visit us. We were in this huge turmoil of excitement and fear and all this stuff. Our organization is the one that went through all that in Colorado. It was insane. In fact, I used that word crazy so many times in that interview because it was, what we went through this whole thing with everybody. We're one of the top, I'm not trying to brag, I'm just excited. We're one of the top first people that ever jumped on this. And we gave out 36, somewhere around 3,600 jars of free paste. It was 1-in-1 THC and CBD, and we gave that all away completely on donation. And so that's how we got started in the very beginning days. Mm-hmm. And this is where I want to jump on one story. Every once in a while, I go from this story to that story, just whatever my heart feels. But this is Frank in Minnesota. So this was years ago. I would say probably 5 years ago. Frank, what he did was he heard how wonderful our hemp paste was. It was kind of like cannabis, marijuana, hemp paste mixed together, because we were trying so hard on our genetics to switch over to CBD, but wasn't quite there. And by the way, people out there who are listening, do not be afraid of hemp because it's a fraction of THC. It's such a minute amount that's why it's federally legal. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the feds or the government's not going to go, hey, let's go get everybody high. It's just not going to happen unless you're eating like a whole jar of this stuff. I shouldn't say that, but who's going to do that? But anyways, back to Frank. So Frank called me up one day and he was crying on the phone. We connected, and this story always makes me cry because he goes to me on the phone. He goes, I love people, and I love going to the restaurant. I live in a small town in Minnesota, and I just want to be friends with people, but I got Parkinson's. And when I walk crazy, and everybody calls me the crazy person, or no, they call him the freak. That's what he said. It goes, everybody thinks I'm a freak because I shake all over the place and I drag my leg everywhere, and everybody stares at me. Everybody talks about me. And anyways, and so this guy's just bawling on the phone and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. And he goes, I heard from a friend of yours that this could help me. Everybody's listening is going, yes, it did help him. That's the punchline. But let me tell you the bad and the good of the story. First of all, Frank calls me back a couple months later, and he goes, Brad, I don't know how much to thank you. And I said, well, it's not me. It's just the plant. We're just messengers, Mm-hmm. And I said, thank you so much. But I love hearing these stories because it gives us faith and power that something natural can actually really help somebody. And that's why we do this. But what's funny and crazy about Frank's story was he goes, Brad, this stuff is amazing. I'm not a freak anymore. And people don't look at me and stare at me. And they just like, is that the same guy that we stare at all the time? Mm-hmm. Sorry. But what he said was crazy on the phone. He goes, there's one thing I really hate about this stuff, this hemp paste. We called it canna paste back then. And it was by newcure.org. And that was our organization. We got rid of the new cure because that's not a good word, cure. And so we changed it to MyNutra and hemp paste. He said, my foot, I dragged and banged it on everything for years. And I beat the crap out of my foot dragged it. I mean, it's a mess. Didn't feel it because the neuropathy or whatever it was, I'm not sure. But what happened is he says, it's starting to hurt like crazy and it hurts. And I'm like, a light bulb went off. And the people that are listening right now, what is that? Go ahead, Paul. Can you guess why that's a light bulb went off when he said he couldn't feel the pain, but now he can in his foot? Take a wild stab at it, Paul.
It was reconnecting his nerves. Reconnecting
exactly.
The neural pathways for the nerves and for the nerve endings.
It was regenerative.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And when that story hit, we went ballistic. We're like, there was so many different things. We're like, hey, we were idiots back then. I was an idiot back then. I was like, I had the police at my house and I thought I was gone. I thought they were going to, because this is in Colorado. This is like 8 years ago, almost about when this wasn't legal. The actual police came into my house and I told them these things. You know what they did?
What?
They gave me a hug and they said, we're not going to do anything about this. We're not going to say anything about this. We're not going to do any paperwork on this. We're just, we got a report that you're smuggling or you're selling weed. And I told them and my wife, and we have a newborn baby and all this. And so it was crazy back then. But the beautiful part of the story is we were part of it. And we've seen so many beautiful stories come out. And we've seen people die. We've seen people, a lot of different sad stories, but in general, I truly believe that God, Mother Nature, God created this plant for a reason, just like you said in Genesis 29:1. Is that Genesis
129?
Yeah, I think it's verse 1 or something.
You're right.
Yeah, Genesis 120 and 129.
Mm-hmm.
And just people who are listening, we're organically made. We need to be eating not chemically made things. We need to be eating what nature is. And I'm going to close out on this because I know we're running out of time, but I'm going to let you guys do the rest of the talking if possible. But you guys Paul, you brought up that, the whole food, all the nutrients, all that. Yeah. And okay. Yes, that is powerful. But that I had a eureka moment a couple years ago on this. I said, you know what? it's not all the nutrients and all that. It's not that. It's that it's complete genetic code of the plant. Every single part is there. And that code, the way it was made by God, and it's perfect. The neuroscientists say it too. They all work together. And that is the key element. And I feel like that is really key to a lot of things that we do in life. And I just want to encourage everybody, start educating yourself, because I've seen it. I've seen so many people say, a girl who called me, I don't want to shut up here. I just can't. There's so much information that I've got. I had a girl who spent years, her doctors did everything. You know what I did? I gave her a bottle of vitamins. We don't sell those vitamins, so I'm not plugging our vitamins. And I'm just saying I gave her a bottle of vitamins, and it absolutely rocked her world. That was the key. She was so deficient in nutrients that she was just constantly on the teeter-totter thing. Yeah. And so I'm saying, everybody that's listening, I've seen too many stories. I've talked to naturopathic doctors, holistic doctors. I've talked to nutritionists. I've talked to them all because when I was on the phone in the beginning days, everybody's going, what is this stuff? In Colorado, what is that? What is this? They're all freaking out, and they're all calling me, and we're all like passing knowledge. And our motto was passing knowledge. That's what it's all about. And they're just simple little things. Everybody's overanalyzing everything. You need to, 13% of your dinner you ate last night only has 13% of the nutrients that makes your body healthy. End of story. And that right there is where we need to start eating well. Of course, I'm preaching what you know, but it's true. I've seen it. I've seen so much change in people's lives.
Right. Well, and take a look at things like dandelion, like Paul said, things that are abnormal in our current state of the world and overlooked and criminalized, and all these things that have been deemed bad or a weed or whatever, and question, hold it up against your logical brain and say, well, the dandelion has 40 different things that it helps with. Why would that be a weed? Why would that be bad? It's the same with all the nutrients.
Okay. A seedless fruit, a seedless watermelon. What that says to me is, if it doesn't have seed, it doesn't have life. Because the seed is the life.
Yeah.
You eat an apple, you're going to eat the entire apple without any harm whatsoever. Well, except for the stem. Those just get stuck going halfway down. But not that I'm speaking from experience. But you get the apple, you eat the whole apple. You're eating apple seeds. Oh, no, you're not supposed to eat the apple seeds. They've got arsenic in them. Yeah,
it's cyanide. If you separate the compounds, cyanide is one of the compounds. That's the 1973 stupid story. Keep going.
Okay. Well,
sorry,
do you know what
I
happens?
had to jump on that one.
Do you know what happens if you eat the whole apple?
What?
The whole apple has the enzymes and the nutrients necessary to teach your body how to deal with the cyanide, encapsulate it, and carry it safely out of your body.
Right.
Hello, vitamin K, apricot seeds. Apricot seeds, you eat just the seed. They're not so good for you. They got the same kind of thing going on.
Right.
Okay? But you eat the whole apricot, bada bing. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't God think of that? Oh, wait a minute. He did. That's why he made the whole apple. That's why he made the whole hemp plant. He made the whole watermelon, seeds included.
Yes. Yep. Preach it, brother.
Whole food. No artificial flavors, colors, preservatives. None of this chemically polluted water and all this happy junk.
Yep.
Oh, yep. The only thing I try to do is I try to carry and promote products that are beneficial to health. And they may not be able to help everybody, but I'm picking the ones that can help the lion's share. Like you said, 20%, they figure it didn't do nothing. They don't find out the real story until they quit. until they stop using it. And then they're clamoring for how fast can you get me a jar?
Which is why we do 2-day FedEx shipping.
Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Well, if there's nothing else that either one of I have just enjoyed myself. It's been very, very informative. It's been very enjoyable. It's been fun. Ediblehealingpaste.com. Check it out. You can see all the other products on the website. Actually, I can just add those to the screen. And let's see, shop. You got hemp paste, hemp cream, hemp chocolates. Come on. Nature's perfect food, hemp and chocolate, hemp coffee and cocoa. Wow. SOS meal replacement. Nutraceuticals. What are the nutraceuticals?
We're kind of there's so many beautiful vitamin stores out there, and we didn't want to water ourselves down, but we didn't want to look like a pot shop. So what we did is I'm very transparent. And the other problem is all these people call me and say, "Hey, Brad, save my life." I said, "You got to grab a pen and paper. You need to buy this, chlorophyll, this and that and that." And so I said, okay, just go on our store and buy it. And I figured, well, it's right in front of you. You can get it all together right now. And so there's different reasons why we have nutraceuticals, but hey, you can go to Whole Foods or anywhere and get great stuff. We just put the most critical ones on our website is what we do.
Oh my God, you guys I didn't even know about these. Coral calcium. Okay.
There are some we have to watch our stocks on because we're getting pretty low on some of them and we're having some manufacturer issues.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Enzyme, mushroom defense, liver detox, MSM, organic greens, women's multi, detoxify, cayenne pepper. Oh yeah, cayenne, really good. Ginger, really, really good. Green tea, cat's claw. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
How much more money am I going to have to make so I can go shopping?
But this here is the key ticket, the hemp paste. That is our specialty. We're the world's only company that does that. Hey, you said, is that it? Shela, I have a question. Do you guys want to hear like a really like has nothing to do with any of this story, or do you want to hear the blueberry story?
Well, I only know the one story.
The blueberry story is a little more safer.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. The other one was an inspirational story, but okay. So this is my food for thought, a true story. So there's one of our hemp-based customers. She calls me up, and this is about 2 years ago now. And she goes, "Brad," and of course I'm not supposed to say names because her husband works for Big Pharma.
Okay, that's fine.
So, but this is what her husband told. Let's call her Kathy. Okay, that's not a real name, so I can make the story faster. So Kathy's telling me on the phone, "Hey, my husband works for this big pharmaceutical company, and they're spending millions, and they spent millions and about 3 years right now working on a pharmaceutical that is basically the critical compounds from the blueberry plant, the blueberry." The reason why is if anybody out there is going, I know why, because it's massively helping people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And so whoever doesn't know that, just Google it and you'll find out. So the Kathy says, "You know what my husband told me?" It says, "We've done everything we can to make this work. The blueberries work, but our formulas do not work."
Mm-hmm.
And we've done everything for years and years, and it just doesn't work. And we had a eureka thing about this, and this is what the idea mostly came from her, which was really cool. And it was so cool that if you don't use what God made that actually works, the blueberry,
mm-hmm.
and you try to
whole fruit.
You try to copy it, and you leave out different compounds. Each compound is critically important. And and so you get the moral of the story. When you have a situation like that, it actually is called the cascade effect. So when pharmaceutical companies create a product, and you take out one of the compounds, it could not work, kill you, or make you sick. Literally. It's the same as apple seed. Apple seed has cyanide, and the other compound, I forgot what is, one is cyanide. So when it's back in the apple seed, it's not cyanide anymore. Salt, if you separate salt, chlorine and sodium, not good, kill you both. And when you take Mother Nature and anything, you start pulling stuff out, you're dealing with not such a good idea. Whereas CBD oil has been stripped, whereas the whole plant's so much better, hemp paste. And so that's the moral of the story, is like, why do we need to do this to certain things? We shouldn't. Just eat the whole plant, or eat the whole apple, eat the whole hemp, whatever it is. That's basically my conclusion. And
That's a good summary.
Yeah.
Well, and if I could add something to that, they've been trying to make a synthetic THC forever, and it's an abysmal failure. It's tremendously expensive, and they wasted their money. They wasted R&D on it because it didn't wind up with a saleable product. God did it better.
Yep.
Yeah.
He always does.
When they take something out of the plant, what they wind up taking out of the plant is the plant's soul. God put a soul in that plant. And if you only take part of the plant, you're not getting the soul. And if you take part away from the plant, you're taking the soul.
Right.
Yes.
You don't get the benefit.
They took the happy out.
They took out the happy. Okay. And don't forget to go to ediblehealingpaste.com, scroll down a little bit on the front page, and you'll see happy. You watch the whole thing, and you'll get the inside joke that Brad was talking about at the beginning of the program.
Yes. Yes.
Anyways, guys, I've tremendously enjoyed this. You both rock. You're amazing, and I can't thank you enough for spending this time with me.
Well, thanks for having us. It's been a pleasure, for sure.
It's the people out there that made us better. When you help somebody, it makes you a better person. Right. I'm not going to cry.
Yeah. Well, okay. It's ediblehealingpaste.com. That's ediblehealingpaste.com. Check it out. All the information is there. All the different hemp infused products are there. All the lab reports are there. This guy's amazing. He actually puts his money where his mouth is, because those lab reports ain't cheap.
Yeah.
Not one little bit. And you do that so you always know exactly what is in your product.
Yes. I'm sorry, I don't want to say more, but sometimes
go ahead. Go ahead, because that is your pedigree.
Yeah, well, you'll go to a different farm and somebody will say, "Hey, Brad, I really want to grow hemp here, and will you blah blah blah?" And so they never knew that there was a Roundup or whatever, or metals and stuff like that. So you have to test the plant, because certification, GMO, and that can be a little bit tricky and not accurate all the time. When you just simply test it, you'll know what's really there, and that's why we do it.
Yeah, so our lab tests, we don't need to be organic certified. Our lab tests show that we are, without having to pay for the certification. So
exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, if you're worried about that, we're pesticide free. You'll see NA on all of the boxes that list all the pesticides that other products have.
Yep.
Wow. So you really are the only cookie in the jar.
Well, we hope so.
Not the last cookie in the jar, the only cookie in the jar. And thanks to copyright rules, regulations, and all that happy stuff, and trademarks and service marks and all that, it looks like you're going to stay the only cookie in the jar.
Yeah. It's fun.
Get out.
Well, happy hemp paste to everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, happy hemp paste. And that is this.
Hello.
Oh, you're good. Watch the full version.
I don't have the full one. I have varying stages of it. I should really load the full one.
Oh, well, people can see it on ediblehealingpaste.com. So it's
all
yeah,
good.
you go to ediblehealingpaste.com and the little shop thing is right up there in the corner. It's just a piece of cake after you get done watching Happy. Guys, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
Thanks,
for
Paul.
inviting us. Appreciate it.
All right. I am Paul from ediblehealingpaste.com, and I'm honored to be affiliated with MyNutra, makers of hemp paste. Hemp paste is a whole food product that still contains most, if not all, of the terpenes, phytonutrients, essential elements, and CBDs of the raw hemp plant. CBD oil manufacturing methods strip away living essential elements, leaving only one, a dead CBD oil. CBD oil alone simply cannot support the entourage effect that occurs when hemp paste's essential nutrients go to work to support your optimum health. Almost 200 terpenes and over 500 other phytonutrients work together with a synergistic effect that simply doesn't happen with CBD oil alone. Visit ediblehealingpaste.com to learn more, and be sure to check out the impressive array of hemp paste enriched products while you're there. That's ediblehealingpaste.com. ediblehealingpaste.com. This program is presented for information purposes only. The statements made herein have not been evaluated by any agency and should not be considered professional, legal, or medical advice. Viewers are directed to consult their own professional sources before acting on any information presented here.